In this tutorial, what we're going to be covering on how to properly set up tables and really just create a pretty solid structure for your page. So, as you can see currently, we've already put together a pretty decent layout, but it's not really holding any elements, it's more just the structure. So what we're going to do first here is we're going to modify the header to have just kind of more of an easy look. So to get into there, we're just going to go to the header. And what I'm going to do for now is just going to disable, see this little disable, that color, because it's kind of hard to work with black. What we're going to do is insert a table. So you can do that in the insert section right here. And we're going to make it one row, and we're going to make it, let's do 4 columns. So you have some room for your social media buttons. And again, 1000 pixels, 0 padding, 0 thickness, 0 spacing. And we're going to align it center. And we're just going to remove this now since it's no longer needed. Now you can see it's aligned top, and we don't really want it in the top. So we're going to make sure that it's either, you can lower it like that if needed by holding Shift Enter, or you'll have a logo that would accommodate it. Now these are all equally sized, and we don't want that. So what we're going to do first is in the very right hand one, in the properties section below here, we're going to give it a width of 70. And we're going to do that for the other 3 as well. And then later on, what you can do is you can get social media buttons to place inside of there. Inside of here, you could put your logo, and then that'll give you just a really nice layout of how you want things to be. So if you have your logo already, great. If not, you'll have to go on Photoshop to create one. And once you do have your logo, you're just going to want to insert it. And just give me one moment to find one that we can use. And if you do download an image, for example, like what I'm doing right now, you're going to want to make sure that you put it in the right folder, which is again, images. So now that I have an image I want, I'd put it here, I'd insert an image, company logo. So it looks kind of funny for now, but we'll make it work. And since it's too large, you can see it's bleeding over top of our objects. We don't really want that, right? So we're just going to press backspace to get it back up there, and we're going to give it a height of, say, 65. This way, it stays in the bound box that we need. And just so we don't forget, I'm just going to put an F, an L, and a T there, so we know Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. And then we'll go back and we'll enable this rule. And then you can see now we have our company logo. What we'll do next is set up our navigation. So you've probably noticed already that black on gray isn't very visible, so we're going to add a rule to change this font color. So we're going to add the property here of color. So we'll do, you just have to type in color. And just so you know, see how these work off of hashtags? The rule for color, or white is just hashtag FFF. And now you have white text inside of here. So we don't need that text, but we do need to set up links. So what we're going to do is insert another table, and we're going to do 1 row by 5 columns at 1000 pixels. And then in the properties section here, we'll add center. And the first link we'll put If you think it's home, that's not right. We're going to make something called maybe, about us. Then press tab, it'll go to the next column. If it resizes like this, don't worry, when we type everything in, it'll resize back. Maybe services, clients, our team, and then like contact us. And now you have something like this. Now we set the rule of our height in the nav to 35 pixels. But this is not 35 pixels, so it doesn't look very in line with itself. So this is what we have to do to fix that. Click inside of the About Us section, and in the Properties section below here, where the height is, the H, type in 35. That will balance everything out. And when we preview, you can see now that we have our links. Now you might be thinking, these are too left aligned. They need to be centered so it has just a better flow of this 1000 pixels. And that's a very valid point. So what we're going to do is add another property in the CSS designer here. It's called text align right here. Center. Sorry, we need to apply that for this table, not the nav. So to do that, we're going to be creating a rule for this table. So we're going to create a new selector, and we're going to call this one Hyperlinks, just like that, with a, of course, period behind it, because we're going to be making it a class. If you have a period behind an object, it's a class, and it may sound confusing right now, but what we do next will kind of shed light on all of that. So again, text align center. We're going to click this table, and in the properties section below here under class, we're going to pick hyperlinks. And now we've applied a class of hyperlinks to these links above here so that it maintains the rules we've applied for it. So now you've kind of learned of two different CSS rules. The one was first with like the body, the nav, and all that. Those are called tag. That's redefining the element tag. These are classes, and what's nice about classes is they can be applied to any object. Just to give some context to that, this table holding our logo, I can apply the class of hyperlinks to it, and it centers everything. Now, we obviously wouldn't want that, and you can just remove it right here. And if you're ever wondering what classes are applied to objects, if you look through here, it'll show you. So we don't need this table to have that class, so it has none. And what you can see now is that we have a pretty simple looking layout with our footer, our text, our links up here, our logo, and an image later on that you could fill it with. Now that we have our structure and our layout that we need, we're going to work on hyperlinks. And if you're not familiar with what hyperlinks are, they are what take you to another page. So again, if we go to Conestoga and I click here, that is a hyperlink. If you can see, it's gone to hashtag because they don't have any link to it. But if we click here, you can see that we've gone to another page because we've clicked the hyperlink that goes to a different one. Now it's quite simple to do this. If we go back to our files section, we remember we created an About Us.html page. So what we're going to do is highlight the About Us section, and then in the HTML section here in the properties, you can see there's a link option. So there's a few ways of doing this. You can actually type in the exact link if you know it. You can search for it like that, or you can even use their drag tool that says go to here. I'm not really a big fan of the drag tool because it's really sloppy looking, And now you can see it's blue because it's a hyperlink. And if we click it, it'll go to the blank About Us page that we made. And it goes purple afterwards. We can't even see it. So to fix this, what we need to do is go to the body, CSS, and we're just going to zoom out a bit. To zoom out, all you have to do is hold Control and scroll on the wheel. We're going to right click actually and just go to the page properties here. These are the body rules, so it's the same kind. Links, never underline. I don't think it's pretty common these days to have an underlined link. And I think we'll make the link color white to kind of emulate how we set it up in the first place. You can set it to slightly change when you roll over it, so I'm going to go to it off gray. And I'll do the same for if it's visited already. You can tell it's been clicked simply by that color. And for active, we'll just leave white like the rest. You can even modify the size and font if you wanted to. You could bold it, but we won't do that for today. We're going to press apply. Now you'll notice if we look at About Us, even though it's a hyperlink, it still looks the exact same. And you can tell that's a link because it's got a active. It's an active object. And it's gray because we clicked it already. But if I open it in an incognito window, you'll see it's white. And when we hover over it, it changes to slightly gray. Now what we don't have is links for any of these yet, but to do that, we would just go like services here, services.html, clients.html, our-team.html, and the same for contact us. Now that we have all of these links ready, it doesn't mean they actually go anywhere. Because if you click this, it's broken because we never made it. Now, what's pretty common with websites is pages look similar. So what we can do is take advantage of what we have here to make a new one. We have to do one more hyperlink before we start making the other ones, and that is the home link to go back to the index page. So to do that is you click the image and you add a hyperlink to the image. So index.html. And if we preview this now, you can see it looks like a link because it turns to the hand tool. So we're going to create the clients page now. Press Ctrl S just in case it's not saved, and do File, Save As, Clients. And I'm just going to change this so you can see. Clients test page. It says right here. If we go back to the home page, you can see this. We go to the clients page, it's changed. So now you have two individual pages that you can individually customize. That's it for this tutorial. Our next we'll cover more on design elements and really starting to get this to looking like a real functioning website.